you ready to frustrate some people, make some people mad?
Let's let the fireworks fly, I guess. There, huh?
I'm going to give a disclaimer, though. These are personal opinions of Jason Doobie and Cody Hilliard, because this is a really controversial topic. But you approached my wife and I about writing an article. And what was the title of that article?
The title was Papers Need Grades.
Which hit me like right away, and I knew exactly what it was going to be about. But why don't you tell me like your thought behind that?
So, I mean, you know, growing up here on the western plains of North Dakota, you know, we grew up running them jet line blue ticks and Smoky River, crossed with Smoky River, and papered to a T, and that's all I ever knew, you know, was blue ticks. And
I'm sorry, I was there too.
yeah, no, there ain't nothing wrong with them. And I went to college, and my family kind of slowly dwindled a little bit out of hounds, out of that blue tick line, and when I got done with college, I picked back up, and I wanted to start hound hunting real hard because, you know, I was free out of college. I could do what I want. And so I started looking, you know, the big game world was huge to me. Like it was just this dream to me. And so I started looking for dogs, and I had it in my head that I wanted a blue tick. And I got onto this classified site, and this fella out of Idaho was advertising some blue tick cross dogs. And you know, and I really didn't know much about a great dog at that time, and so I talked to this guy, and he became my mentor. To be truthfully honest with you, I bought a dog from him, and I bought it. It's funny, the dog, I still have him. He's pretty old now, but the dog is a blue tick leopard cur walker cross dog. I mean, Heinz 57 and a hound, but he looks like a blue tick.
Oh, really? It's pretty dominant.
I mean, he looked like a blue tick, and he's got a merle colored eye, and he's marked up pretty neat. Just a different look. You know, he's got a little bit of that leopard look to him too. But so I picked that dog up, and the gentleman that I bought him from, he really
you can name drop him if you want. No, like, it's up to you.
No, you bet. No, Nate Lopez out of Idaho there. He really took me under his wing and showed me the ropes as far as what to do in the big game world. And I mean, the rest is kind of history with my kennel. You know, I've owned I've owned papered plots. I've owned walkers. Heinz 57s went through my kennel. You know, I don't judge anything. Red bones, but
don't be picking on the red bone guys.
No, I won't.
You can make enough guys mad.
I ain't, like I said that one time, I ain't no Billy Coleman, and these ain't no red bones. And so I mean, I've had a little bit of every breed, you know, and I still do out in my kennel, and it works for me. You know, that's you know, I picked the dogs that have worked for me. Does that mean they'll work for Jason Doobie or Nate Lopez or any of these other guys? No, it might not. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but they work for me. You know, that's what works for me. And I guess with this article I wrote, you know, I respect all the paper guys out there. Like you guys, you competition paper guys are doing an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. Right. You know, I view it a lot more of an eastern state thing. You know, you kind of get into it a little bit in North Dakota with papers, but you push down to the east and to the southeast, you know, you see a lot more that coon hunter, the coon hunters associations and stuff where they're having these competitions. Hey, You guys keep doing that. We'll just keep picking the best of what we want out. And if we can cross them to something that's going to make us what we want, in our eyes, a better dog, please keep doing that. I mean, and kudos to you guys for that. That takes a lot of work for them, and I
Oh,
respect them for that.
it's crazy. I mean, because I've always looked at it, and I can tell you, I've swung both sides of the spectrum. I'm like you. Hey, we've been buddies long enough. I mean, you remember when we were showing dogs, and
Yep.
we had three of the top 10 AKC blue ticks in the conformation ring, and two of them were my two lead dogs. Now, that being said, I was really new at hunting. I'm not going to say that they were extraordinary, but like they were proving it in the woods, and we were showing them in the ring.
They
And
did what you wanted them to do.
exactly. At that point in time in my life, it was really cool to be able to go to a show, go do some winning, and then go hit the mountain that night. I had to show a dog that smelled like a skunk. We sat there and Febrezed that dog. We washed it. We blew dry. We did everything we could because we went hunting the night before and she trashed. But you know what? I got the biggest compliment from a judge I ever got in my life. And it was that little Paisley female. I think you remember her.
Yep, I do. Yep.
And I was in the ring. We were showing with a couple of specials, meaning they'd already finished out, got their championships. And the judge put her up over all of them. And she says, I will tell you this. It is nice to see a dog in the ring that truly does its job. And there is no mistaking this dog was doing its job. And we had a good chuckle about it. But to me, that was a huge focal point. And I'll say it might not have been the right focal point because I was at that point in my life really trying to prove something. Like I was going to prove I can do this. You can have dual purpose dogs. There's no excuses. It's just lack of effort. And I was very arrogant. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. But then as my life started shifting, it was like, okay, we need a dog that's going to do this or do that. And I mean, I completely switched breeds to grade dogs again. Yep. But, it's not so much the dog or the papers, it's the dog and what it does for you. Like you said, if it works for you, that's the thing I think to hammer home with all these new guys. Because the question, you see it a million times on Facebook, paper dogs versus grade dogs. What should I get? Unless you know what you want, there's no answer to that question. If you can't check the boxes on a Subway sandwich, they're not going to know how to make it. So if you don't know what you want,
that's 100%. What you said there. Check the box. That's 100% right. You got guys that might want paper registered dogs to just pleasure hunt with, and then you got those paper registered dogs that want a competition hunt, and then you got guys with grade dogs that actually do want a competition hunt, but there's not much of a world for us to do it. So a lot of us fall back into the, into the pleasure hunting, into the meat hunting like we do. And yeah, that check the box. And there's just, I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's what you want to do. I mean, Jason Doobie's opinion isn't going to be the same as Joe Blow that's wanting to buy a hound for the first time. I mean, and it really comes down to that, like I said, that mentoring factor. It comes down to the guy that you stick with a little bit when you're learning in the world, right? And I won't say any of them are right, wrong, or indifferent. It's what it's what worked for you. Those are the traits that you're picking up. I've had since meeting Lopez, I've had the luxury of hunting with a whole bunch of different houndsmen. I mean, from all over the United States. I mean, I've hunted hogs down in Louisiana with guys that they go catch pigs. They run and bay pigs with the same dogs that they'll turn loose on cows to go catch the cows out of the woods down there.
Right.
So again, it's what works for you and why, and the question I'd ask any of these guys that are going to stare down their nose at us tonight is, Why is your way better than mine?
Yeah.
That's the big question. You tell me why your way is better than mine. If I go out and I catch game the way I want to catch game and my pack is working for me, I don't question how you go out and do it. I mean, obviously, if you're doing some dirty stuff, that stuff flies around. But
Oh yeah.
I would question that. But if we're both out there catching game or whatever game it is they want to catch, I don't care if it's a hog in Louisiana or a coon in Nebraska. You
Yeah.
know, it, if it's doing the thing you want it to do, more power to you. And I guess that it does it drives me a little crazy with guys on both spectrums staring down the nose at
Yeah.
one. And
On the flip side,
it's on both sides, and it's like, guys, we're gonna have to. We're on the same side here. I mean, the long
exactly.
and short of it, we're on the same side here.
Well, think about this though. There's guys on the gray dog side that are pumping their fist in the air right now, and it's at the same time, if you don't give credit to the guys that have busted their butt and spent their entire lifetime making these lines of dogs, show me a grade walker dog that doesn't go back to Lipper, Sackett, Hickory Nut, Harry, Chief, Spring Creek Rock. I mean, like, think of all those dogs. I think, like, those are just the ones that come to my mind in big game. Morrisock, like, all those dogs, they were really trying to pave the way going forward, right? And that's where, like, the registries took off.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize we were doing some research. Like, Full Cry had a registry before UKC even did. And then UKC, yeah, I was doing some reading the other night. I got to research it more, but Danny had found some cool stuff. But, like, there was an importance, or it was something where that was a huge part in recognizing the coonhound breeds. So, like, for the last how many years, these guys have been breeding with a purpose, not just making puppies or filling kennels. Like, I will say this, breeding programs behind competition and really serious big game hunters, even, like these foxhounds we're running, when you get into that top tier, and I don't mean to sound like anybody's above anybody, but you know what I'm talking about.
I almost felt your nose go up in the air and look down at me.
Yeah, right. No, it's just, that's been a lot of work. And then it's like a stair step where we've taken some of those dogs and made our own crosses to find the things that we need, a colder nose, tighter feet, smarter dog as far as like working through tracks or track style. Like, all those things are traits that are carried by genetics. So, like, when I was thinking, when we were breeding dogs, they say you breed the grandparents. I mean, that's kind of the judge. They say, like, if you want to get back to a trait, you want to breed the grandparents, because within 3 to 4 breedings, those traits, if the genetics don't line up, they're gone. Like, so let's say a bark, a certain voice on a dog.
Yep.
I remember I showed up at Brett Williams' house with Haley when I first started. It was like my first female I wanted to breed. And I showed up at his house, and we were just going to meet him, introduce ourselves. We were within like 6 hours of him, I think. So we just drove up, and he heard her bark. He'd never even seen the dog, heard her bark in the box. And he says, "That sounds like Jersey Girl. Is she related?" I said, "Yeah." And we sat down and worked through the pedigree and how it was. And it was like, man, that's the kind of stuff that guys that take breeding really serious recognize. And you got to work to keep those, or locate power, or tree style, to sit back and tree big game dogs. I really like that, because you don't have dogs falling out of trees and breaking their neck. But all of that is tracked back through their lineage. So, like, your jet dogs that you used to run, right? Like, there was a definite line.
Yep, that Jet Smoky River stuff. And I still got the papers of that pup laying around somewhere. And I'd absolutely love to find them and go through them.
I want to see him.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I do, and I want to see him. And he did pay attention to his breeding at that time on that line of blue picks, and that stuff does interest me. So I mean, what these guys with the papers are doing, I think it's really neat and it's really handy because you can, like you said, you see those traits. You see, you know, you see what you want. It's like you can. It's like you're baking a pie almost, right?
Right.
You know, you can go down and you can pick the ingredients as you want for that pie, you know, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever your cook, your gumbo, or what, with us grade guys, it's gumbo. I want a little bit of this, and we'll throw it in the pot, and I want a little bit of this, and we'll throw it in the pot, and I want a little bit of this, and I'll throw it in the pot, and you know
Right.
what, that dog's. I threw I threw the right mixture of what I want. It tastes good to me. You know that
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was looking for. Whether like I said, that dog that I have is that he's leopard cur blue tick walker. And
What do you
Lopez
like about him?
Lopez might not like him, but I like him. I mean,
I mean, what do you like about him?
uh, he's got a voice. He's got a voice that you could tell from anywhere. He's he was he's old now. He was super fast. I mean, super fast dog. And since he was young, he never was a liar.
Oh,
He
really?
never was a liar. He's a bang up coonhound, and I mean, truthfully, he does most of my when I do go out and catch cats. He's right in the front punch with it. I mean, I cork to him. Which I'm sure a lot of guys that run big game will see in some of their better dogs. If they get beat to the track or beat on the track, some of them might not want to play the game,
Right.
and I don't care what any of, I'd get rid of that dog. No, you wouldn't. You just deal with the
The old dog
BS.
stuff.
You deal with the BS and yeah, he's been since he's gotten older, and the main thing I do run is still coon, and I pack hunt coon. I take my puppies out with him all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and they can go and diddle around, and he'll go do his thing. But I know when he opens, he's on a coon,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, anymore. And I didn't, like I said, even from a young age with him, coon hunting, I never had a problem with him really trashing.
Really.
I,
Isn't
I,
it
I
funny how
can
some dogs are like that? Not very
he
many.
he's been a good dog in that sense. He really has, and it's funny is his dad. I actually ended up with his dad, and looked like a yellow lab with a blaze down its chest.
Oh, really?
Al was his name. Yeah, he looked, and his mom was a. Oh, Lopez might tell me I'm an idiot, but I think she was Smoky River. I
Yeah.
think she was a Smoky River blue tick, and yeah, I don't know. He Lopez had one, and then he kept his sister out of it. I think I've got one of the last dogs out of that line still. What it was, and I don't know if they were 2 or 3 years old. He had caught a bear, and the wolves come through and killed dog, and
Yeah,
it
that's
was a
rough.
miserable thing. But I don't think he had too big of a problem with her. So,
See,
and hell, Doobie, I've got a Plot Patterdale Terrier in my kennel. That is a absolute. I can't even tell you he's in my kennel. He's an absolute terrorist.
wasn't
I
he the
mean,
one that like kept climbing out in the snowstorm and
yeah, yeah. Well, no, he didn't even climb out. No, he'd walk in. He'd walk
oh,
in on females in heat.
oh, that was it.
Yeah, we ended up with a bad snowstorm here, and he just walked over the top of the kennel and thought life was wonderful there for a while, looking for love in all the wrong places.
He
And
found it.
he found it. He found it. But anybody that sees me on Facebook or Instagram or something like that, he's my house dog, and and a lot of people see that little dog and they're like, and he's just a small hound, but he's a funny looking dog, and he is a terrorist on
Oh yeah.
bear and coon. I mean, nobody'd see him that way as far as running bear, and he's wicked fast. But yeah, Plot Patterdale Terrier. The dad was a Plot that was a monster, and the mother was a small Patterdale Terrier. And I'm like, I don't know how this worked, but I'll take one because we were. And what
He's
was
got no standards, people.
and I threw him in the mix, and his name's Crockett, and I was a pinch away from calling him Hammer. Just turn Hammer loose, and I was just a pinch away from naming him that. And I had a little boy named Boone, and we got that dog right around the time he was born, so we named the dog Crockett. So
that's awesome.
We call my son's dog Boone and Crockett. But yeah, I show up to a field trial up here, and people look at me like, "What the hell is that thing?"
Right. That's what people said when I got Trigger. Because he was. God, what is he? He's Beagle, Whippet, and a Pit Bull Terrier.
That Whippet, what is that?
Like, is in general or what? Yeah. Mine? It's just a sight hound.
Okay. So
the plan was, like, the guy that made the cross, I don't know if I should say his name or not, but, like, you know who you are. He crossed, it was a full-blooded Whippet onto a Heifer. Or no, he crossed the Beagle. It was a full-blooded Beagle onto a Whippet Pit Bull Terrier cross. And he came out, I mean, he's probably 35 pounds. Looks like super racy. He looks like Santa's little helper from The Simpsons, kind of.
Nuts. We call him Lucky.
But like the plan was they were going to make coyote dogs and rabbit dogs, and I had some fun chasing rabbits around the desert with him, and he would trail, but he wasn't real good. He didn't have a very good nose, but he would do it a little bit. But like in my mind, I thought this is going to be an awesome varmint dog. He can see it like in the sight. He's going to take over and he's going to run all out. He's going to be a gritty dog. He's going to have, what he needs. No, he did all right, but didn't excel in many places. He didn't get the grit. But he'd always run a track, which was fun. It's just, we started out running him because of his size.
See, you should have got him treeing.
I tried, dude. I wanted that dog to be my field trial dog so bad, just because. I mean, we tried getting him to tree for years.
How big is it?
Dude, he's only like 30, 35 pounds. He's a little guy.
So he's about like that Plot Patterdale Terrier. He's right around 40 pounds.
So like short races, he was fine, but you get into them long ones that you need a gas tank for. I mean, that's where he got the sight hound lungs kind of deal. He just couldn't keep up.
Yeah, I don't have that problem with him, just with that Crockett dog, with that littler terrier. He's
But like the great dog thing, like this, if you're thinking about a direction you want to go, then you got to go back and find it somewhere else. And that's where I personally think going back to a papered dog makes a lot of sense if you can find someone willing to breed.
Yep.
Because it's simplifying, like you don't have as many variables. You're not taking 10 million variables and throwing them together. You can look at a line of dogs, especially with Facebook now. I mean, think about it. You got Facebook, Instagram. Like you get to know these guys' dogs without even seeing them. Like
the networking is out there now, and that's nice.
Right. Oh yeah, like that Frogger dog. All these Lone Pine Walker dogs that I'm seeing, they jump out to me. Because I'm like, dang, something like that crossed on to some of these Heinz 57s, the mutts, the utility dogs. Gosh, man, like if you could get that voice, or you could get that tree style, or you could get, that conformation, the build, it's just simpler. And these guys have done their homework for so long. We all need to be tipping our hats. They're doing a great job putting their best foot forward and representing us as houndsmen. We're hunting for trucks. You're hunting for $100,000. Like anybody can turn their nose up at it all they want. But I will tell you personally, mad respect to those guys that are putting that foot forward. And now like the Elite Handler Series Josh just announced, there's a lot going on in that world. And we need to recognize that and and value the hard work that they're putting in. That's just my 2 cents. I know that's why I've got this Walker dog sitting outside.
I agree with you 100%. You know, without those guys, we wouldn't, you know, we need all of them, you know, grade, you know, papers need grade. We need all of them, you know, because yeah, they have a strong feeling down there, but you know, you start to get out of that competition world over here, and it comes down to, there are papered dogs over here. I ain't going to take that away. There are papered big game hounds, but I mean, there's a lot more grade dog big game hounds out there than there are paper, you know, and you got associate, you know, and you got associations doing an amazing job of organizing it to keep not necessarily just the grade dogs, but the paper dogs, and keep them all together and draw members, because it's power in numbers, you know. And I know there's a lot of paper hunters out there. I know there's a lot of those guys, and I think it's great. And I mean, it's just, we need to keep our power in numbers together, because there are a lot of us. And I do think that this social media, it does help network us, bring us together, but it does damage us, because I mean, you know, there's people in every form of hunting that, you know, my way or the highway, and that's it, and that's fine. Right. You guys go ahead and be that way. Just don't cast a shade. You know, whether it's a grade hunter or a paper hunter, we don't need the shade. You know,
that's what we're joking about some of this, but I mean, that is the point of this whole conversation, is that we wouldn't have the tools to work with if somebody didn't forge them. And when it came down to it, like, that is where it all started. So you can't turn your nose up to it if you're kicking a dog loose in the woods, because at some point in its lineage, you know, that's what it goes back to.
And I'm not looking at paper dog guys, because
Cody doesn't want hate mail.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't care. Hate on me all you want, but I mean, I'm not just targeting them, because there's enough of us grade dog guys out there, and I am not one of them, that will look down their nose at the paper dog guys. I mean,
which blows my mind too.
I've never. I don't care how you hunt your dogs. If it works for you, I've said it again and again on this. If it works for you, I'm happy. Don't judge me how I do mine. Yeah. You know, don't judge anybody. If you can offer help to a new hunter, to a new houndsman, because this isn't an easy game to get into. No. It's not easy. I mean, there ain't nothing like this in the world. Nope. You know, as far as dog hunting goes, there's nothing like this. It's you and the trust for them dogs. And if you can trust those dogs, and that's how you know, and they work for you, and that trust works for you, that is success. That is Bingo. A win. That is a win. And more power to you.
Use your own measuring stick. You know, and I would advise you, if at all possible, find somebody that knows what a measuring stick is to bounce things off of. Because when you're new, sometimes you don't have a measuring stick. You don't know. You haven't seen the epitome of a hound yet. You know, that's what I remember when my eyes were open to, like, a truly outstanding dog. Yep. And I had hunted with him for years before I noticed it. But then when I finally got myself to a point where I'm like realizing, man, that is a fine specimen of a dog that you don't see every day.
You know, and that a bunch of these guys are going to listen on here and go, well, God, that guy's not very old at all. What does he know? You know, when I first started running dogs, or when I was running dogs with my family, and when I was first running them, I was a little boy, and we didn't have GPS. We didn't have a beeper.
Said bells or something.
We didn't have anything. All we did was listen to the bark. You know, right. We listened to the bark, and I can tell you what, I was in a lot better shape then than I am now. Thanks a lot, Garmin.
Let me take this 400-yard skid road.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Garmin.
It'll save me 100 feet of walking.
Yeah, and my pickup was in better shape too, but yeah. But I mean, Yeah, we listened to the sound of the dog, and that's what we went to. You know, a dog that made noise, had a night. You know, that voice, like you said there, and
Mm-hmm.
that that's how I was brought up. And then as I slowly grew up and liked hounds more and more, my focus shifted. Yeah, I'll always hunt coon. I mean, that's what we have here. But
I'm gonna make it out there one of these years too.
you'll
Like
have
that
to.
is gonna happen.
You'll have to. You'll have to. That'll. It's an eye opener out here.
You got
You
some
know,
monsters.
we got some different. We got some coon out here. That's for sure. Different,
What's a big coon
like the
size
biggest.
wise?
The biggest I know of.
Yeah, like the biggest one you've weighed.
The biggest one I've weighed is 52 pounds.
I knew that already. It was a loaded question. Thing was
Yeah,
huge.
the biggest one I wait. The biggest
That's a
one.
bear, dude.
Oh, bear cub. Yeah, the biggest one. I know my uncle. He's actually got it mounted. It's kind of funny. It was somewhere over 70 pounds, and
What?
they mounted it. It's mounted on a log, like it's kind of walking down a log. And the regular coon, you know, this was in the 80s, early 90s. The regular coon form for it looks rough because the coon form couldn't fill it. So they took the skin and like squished
Like
it
folded
together.
it?
Like folding it would be kind of the word, but not necessarily folding it, just kind of slinkied it together, I guess, if that makes sense. You know, made the
Right.
fold all in one, so it would fit the form. So it looks like a big old pot-bellied cat. You know, one of them cats with a big old, one of them house cats with a big old pouch on it.
How
So
much did it weigh?
yeah, it was something over 70 pounds.
Like that's
And
legit, or that's like a. That
that's
seems
legit
huge.
as far as the Hilliard uncles wanted to tell me.
That's what I'm thinking.
But I can get a picture of the coon to prove to you guys that this thing weighed like what they said, you know.
That's
And,
insane.
and I'll tell you, my family is not that side of the family is not big drinkers, so that wasn't just a drunken cabin night story that we're gonna say that thing weighs at. So it was somewhere in there. But yeah, my biggest coon that I'd ever weighed was 52 pounds.
That's so crazy.
So that's a
They're eating a bunch of that cornfield out there. They got 4-wheel drive and they got thumbs. I wouldn't want to tussle with them.
you got to come up here. It's a different style running. You know, nobody's really. I mean, we do have competition. You know, there is the North Dakota Coon Hunters Association up here, and they do a little bit of competition coon hunting. But it's different stuff out here, out on the prairie.
Yeah. So, is it a lot of cornfields that you're hunting with them?
Uh, Cattail sloughs.
Yeah, a lot of water.
You know, little water holes and stuff like that. Cattail sloughs. There's cornfields out here too. You know, soybeans, cornfields, stuff like that. So that it's. And I mean, I live up by the Turtle Mountains, so I've got I guess national forest running up there, forest running up there, which that's got acorns and sloughs and stuff like that up there. So we got good hunting for coon up here. You know,
So those are the same dogs you're hunting big game with, right? When you travel to Idaho.
Yep, they are. Yeah, most of them, anyways. Yeah, like that old man. I won't really bring him anymore, just because he's
Right.
just old. He's about ready to turn into a house dog, and he earned it. You know, as far as I'm concerned, he earned it. So, like I said, he worked for me.
Right.
On what I
You're
needed.
feeding it.
Yep. It's been a fun ride for me in the hound world, as far as just the different styles and stuff like that. And I mean, I encourage these guys that are only hunting one way, or looking down their way, get out there and try the other way, so you can get a taste of what that world's like. There's many different hound worlds out there.
Oh yeah.
You talk about the swamps of Georgia and stuff like that, and Louisiana, Texas, North Dakota, Wisconsin. It's all different worlds. It's all, how they say, it's all different strokes for different folks. Is that kind of
Yeah.
the saying? So I
But
mean,
that's part of my favorite thing about like we travel to the Wisconsin Bear Hunters Association every year.
yep,
And that's like a group of guys. We did Michigan, we did Eastern Idaho, IHA, CHC, Utah. Like, we get to bounce around to different ones at different times. And getting to go to Autumn Oaks, I've been a couple of times, hoping to get to Grand American, and do some of these because, like, when you hear the reports back, like, oh, yeah, there was a ton of people there. It was up. It seemed like there was a lot more energy from people just attending it, and that's good
yeah,
for all of us. So, encourage, like, go hit the field trials, go hit the shows, go hit whatever, because those guys that are out there doing it are supporting us more than we want to even give it or thought.
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is, it's, we get into our own little world, and there's a world outside of that world as far as all this competition and all of us other all these other houndsmen out there. I mean, if you think about it, we aren't as small as people want to make us.
Mm-mm.
We're not as small of a group of people or a group of hunters as people want us to make us sound like or seem like. We're everywhere. There are
Yeah.
hound hunters everywhere. And I
Everywhere.
mean, and people probably turn their head if they all stood up at the same time
Mm-hmm.
and supported that one cause of hound hunting. If you could organize that, you'd turn heads.
Oh, for
You would
sure.
absolutely turn heads.
And I think the majority of people's outlook is like we're talking. We are in this together. And I would say, like, anybody who's interested in looking into some of these, like, lines of dogs, grade or papered, whatever, like, I feel like there is a stigma to some of the competition dogs that came about, from the years, let's say years past. Most of these guys, don't be afraid to reach out to them. Like, they're happy to talk. And, they know that we're making dogs for our own needs, I think. Don't think that they're like somebody that won't even return a message or whatever. Like, if you find a dog out there, get a hold of those people. Ask them about the line. No different than if I were to call up Lopez. Like, I'm going to ask him the same questions as I'm going to ask, anybody else. And do your research. Just don't let there be a barrier. And I think that there's been kind of this underlying barrier that people don't want to cross. But don't be afraid to do it. If you're looking for something, you got to look past your backyard sometimes. And sometimes that's across the country. I mean, we shipped in a bitch from Robbie and Lisa Brooks to breed on to Henry. And that was a Cameron, Uchman, and Mad Dog cross. Because I liked that line of dogs. I loved their feet. I got to see Sid at 11 years old. And I'm like, that dog has the tightest feet I've ever seen on a hound. And I wanted to bring it into our breeding program. And they were some of the nicest people between them and the Downings. Nicest people I have probably ever bumped into. And just like, they would spill everything about their dogs. We'd talk dogs for hours. And it's like, I just want to encourage people, don't be afraid to cross that barrier, because sometimes you need to.
Here, you guys, these people listening out there. Here, he's talking about crossing barriers. I bet you Doobie can't even answer this question. Tell me some big name English dogs out there, Doobie, huh?
Don't hit me with names, man. Like, we had Swamp Rooster bred female that was really good, that Loretta dog.
Yep.
Before she got killed by a wolf. But, the Oni bred, I'm not a big English guy, but I will tell you, we've had two of them. God, what was Conway off of? I'm trying to remember. I brought him home from Autumn Oaks. Like, I was going to bring me a puppy home from Autumn Oaks, and it was going to be an English dog because I really liked our first one.
Yep.
But no, don't. Why would you do that to me, man?
I had to break that barrier, buddy. Hey, when you guys hear this, after you hear this, all you English guys better hit Doobie up.
Yeah, hammer me up. Yeah, Tony Powers is going to be on the phone tomorrow.
Tell who you are out there. No red bone guys, just English guys. But I'm just kidding.
My kids just got done listening because they can rent Where the Red Fern Grows on audiobook. So they rented it from the library. They've been going through it. They're like, Dad,
Best
what's a
dog
red
in that
bone?
book. Best dog in that book was that blue tick them angry kids owned.
They said, Dad, what's a red bone? And I said, well, that's not something you see a whole lot of out here, buddy. We're going to have to go back east, I think, for you to see one.
There ain't nothing wrong with the red bone. They're good dogs too. I mean, there ain't nothing wrong with any of them. I mean, and that's the thing. We gotta take a little constructive criticism. Don't just jump down people's throats. I ain't got a problem with any breed of dog, not one.
I told Danny someday when I
Chihuahua,
hit the big
maybe a
time.
Chihuahua. I have a little bit of a problem with them, but I mean,
I told Danny when I hit the big time and I got some money to blow, I said, I want a really nice black and tan or a red bone, like to run in the hunts, But
so it's about as slow as you are. I get it.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, you win a big hunt with them. It's a big deal.
What some of the funniest dogs I ever seen when I was down there in Louisiana hunting hogs, and I can't even tell you what those dogs were, but I know that they were, they had these cast dogs out there, and we were riding horse. We were on horseback, and they've got the cast dogs out, and they'd start working a trail, and what was trailing along with us was the catch dogs, and what they were, I don't know. Some kind of bulldog, pit bull, German Shepherd, Rottweiler, I don't know, but they trailed along with us, and it was interesting. What was interesting, so those trail dogs go in, and they'd get in and get a pig bait up, and we wouldn't be too far away, and they'd be baying on that pig, and those pit bulls, or whatever they were, they'd perk up when they could hear that, because those dogs are going nuts, and they'd perk up, and you could see them kind of trot out, and trying to get an idea where the sound was, and all of a sudden you'd see them disappear into the woods, and we were hunting these, horse high pine trees. We were just over the top of them on horse, and you'd see this dog just disappear into the woods, and you'd be sitting there, and you could hear all these dogs baying this pig, and all of a sudden that dog finally got there and caught it. And what was even funnier yet, on top of that, is the horses were watching it too. We're sitting there paying attention to it, and we're on horseback, and you get that horse to go, you'd give him a nudge to the side to go, and if you weren't holding on, you were coming off, because he was going straight to that hog, straight to that pit bull that had that hog caught. I mean, right through everything.
Like he knew.
He just plowed. He knew exactly all of them, and that wasn't just one horse; it was all of them. They just plowed right to that catch dog, and yeah, that was kudos to those hog hunters that take those pigs the way they do. Holy Moses!
I
mean, I thought I was ranchy, and
I wanted to go someday like that, and I'm gonna hit you and Kyle up because I want to go coyote hunting. Like, I would like to experience all of it, because I've just done tree game. Like, we started bear hunting, and then fox, and we'll try to chase cats. But
there's a fella
coyotes would be fun.
I don't know if he listens to this, and I ain't gonna name drop him, but so I bought a mule. I think I told you I bought a mule.
I heard you bought a rodeo mule.
I did. I didn't go 8 seconds on him, but I bought that mule from that guy down in Colorado, New Mexico, and the way he hunts his dogs, oh man, it's amazing. I'd love to do that. Just dirt dog work, just
living the life.
And he does it too, and living the life. And I mean, I'd love to come out to where you are and hunt, just to experience all these different places to do it, because there are so many neat people out there with great groups of dogs and great groups of friends to go out there and hunt with these guys. I don't want to learn your spots. I just want to hunt with you and see how it is.
Right.
It's nothing about coming into your territory or doing anything like that. it's a camaraderie of it. It's a blast to hunt with people. To me, it is. I mean, it's a camaraderie. Yeah, I can go out there and I can go catch coon or whatever with my dogs all I want, but and sometimes that's necessary. I mean, to go out and do it by yourself, but to have
Sure.
that camaraderie is, you look at it, most forms of hunting, there's camaraderie in it.
Oh
Whether
yeah.
it's a guided moose hunt in Alaska, those guys, they're with their guide. You think that guide's not going to sit there and pump them up if they're not, if they're level-headed guys? Yeah, they are. So it, I, it'd be enjoyable to hunt everywhere in the United States with these guys, or just tag along. I
Yeah.
I think they all do cool things, and they all do it their way, and to pick up new things from them,
Sure.
you know, to experience these new things. I think that
Well,
would be a fun time.
hear their stories. They can
Exactly.
tell you those guys can go back and tell you where those dogs came from. Like
Yep.
you think about like the Mathis Hounds, right? The Brave Book. Those were great dogs, but those guys can track those dogs back. I know Brett Vaughn, he had some, written pedigrees and things like that on some of those dogs. And, there's a bunch of old letters that circulated around, but ask them. Like, they're going to tell you why they hunt those dogs. Like, you look at Warner Glenn, like any of those dry ground guys. I love listening to them talk about dogs.
You know, there's a big plot guy that comes up to North Dakota, Robert Longshore, and he goes back. I don't know how long Robert goes back, with that line of Longshore plots or whatever, and
Mhm.
just listening to him talk about all these big name, the guys that really brought up dogs, like your Lipper and stuff like that. All the owners' names. He was talking about all the guys, not the dogs, and he was talking about knowing them, and it was just not that he knew Lipper, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Just sitting there listening to these, because we're losing that stuff too. Every day we're losing some of our history, and I am a big history buff as far as that stuff goes, and
Yeah.
keeping up with some of that, and we lose that every day. And for these houndsmen that'll listen to us babble for 50 minutes, when you're with your grandpa or your old guys in your club or whatever, ask them what some of the greatest advancements in hounds has been.
Yeah.
Ask them, because that'll be something that's lost forever
Hmm.
with them. Sit down and have that conversation with them, why they got into the line of dogs they did, whether it's paper or grade. Why,
Right. There's a
sit down
reason.
and have that conversation with that old generation. Learn some of your lineage,
That's been some of the best part of like going through all these old magazines, seeing the old stud dog ads,
Yep.
and going back and seeing all those dogs that it's funny because we're in a time where there is a whole generation of hunters that, unless they've tried to really do their research, they don't know because it's so far back. But yet, something like that, you can go back and you can see these dogs and you still see it continued on. Like the look, the voices, it's pretty crazy to me.
Oh, 100%. I was going to show you this.
Okay. For those of you that can't see Cody because it's a podcast, he just got his Brave book because we're almost out of them. I told him we got like
I thought there was a lot more pictures in it.
and the words would have been bigger.
Double spaced, things to help something. But
It's pretty crazy. It's pristine, right? That's brand new. Never been opened.
pristine, and my daughter colored all over in it already.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm kidding you.
Oh, it happens. My kids put a sticker on one, and I'm like, you know what? This was probably last year. I was thinking if you would have done that 5 years ago, I would have been real mad because you would have ruined a $400 buck. But the fact that you can get them for $50 right now, I'm like, I'll deal with this sticker for a little while.
Sticker them up, buddy.
Thanks for walking me into a plug. Here's my paying the bills. If anybody is looking for the Brave book on the Mathis Hounds, we are we're getting down there. And this is the last of the last. I think Buddy said
how many got? Maybe I'll buy the rest of them out. And
there's not a lot. I think there's like 3. We got 3 cases left of them.
Oh,
was our last count. Like, I doubt we have any left by the time Christmas season's done. I mean, they're a great Christmas gift. They aren't $400. They're on sale for $50.
For all you guys out there wondering when the sales pitch came in, it only took 51 minutes to get there. But
see, at least I didn't hit him with it right up front.
Christmas.
You led me into it, man.
Christmas is right around the corner. Come to W for all your hound hunting needs.
Yeah, and while you're there, check out our library. We've got a ton of useful, fun-filled books.
And all you, and a reminder out there, all you English hunters, make sure you reach out to Jason Doobie.
You know, there's going to be a couple guys that I know, guarantee you, my phone's going to be ringing after this.
I cannot wait to hear this. Oh, that's good.
You are better to be silent and thought a fool than speak and remove all doubt. And I guarantee you, I will say some of the wrong dog names.
Dude, you were talking about leopard curs.
Yeah, right? You got no scruples, man.
Yeah.
No, were they leopard curs or leopard hounds? We want to really start making people mad.
Here's that blackmouth cur.
Mm-hmm.
You ever hear anything about them? Not talking down about them, but I mean,
not a lot. A few guys have talked to.
Spot there. Do you know any breeding on the blackmouth cur?
I would say no. I got a few customers that I've talked dogs with a bit about them. I almost bought one at a puppy auction because I just think they're cool dogs.
Yep.
But no, I'm not really. We don't have pig hunting here.
No, but it'd be interesting to hear a little bit about them.
We should get a blackmouth cur guy on. If anybody is listening, get a hold of me. Like, I think it would be good.
All blackmouth cur guys out there, good, bad, or ugly.
Cody's all those things, so fit right in.
Or they bring me on here, so you guys are okay.
Yeah,
but yeah, I hope we pounded that across. So everybody stand up for everybody.
Yeah, no, and that's what reading your article, I was like, man, he's got it. You know, and I knew we've been friends long enough. I know your outlook, but it's really hard to get that point across because everybody gets so stinking defensive about one side or the other when it's like, don't take the receipt. Like, think of papers. It's like a sales receipt, right? It's a lineage. It's a tracking tool. All these registries are a private company. Like, they're a business. You're paying to keep these records. And there's a real value in that.
And you had to work your butt off to do it.
Bingo.
You know,
and now like X-Breds being able to register, like, I think that's a huge thing. And I know that was pretty controversial. And I'm not going to speak on that. Like, I don't know. I just think that
we should make this a 2-parter and go in that and really get, see how much negative publicity this one gets and then really amplify it.
See how it tanks.
Oofta.
Oofta. You are from the Midwest.
Yep.
Well, don't freeze, buddy.
Yeah, we already saw -8 up here last week. She was colder than cold. That was not ready for that yet. But
no. You get coons moving around when it's that cold still?
No, not really. They kind of den up a little bit then, and no, but they're blubbery right now. Holy. Look like little potbelly pigs running around out there climbing trees.
That's funny.
They're little fat things, but
that means they're slower, right?
Yeah. Slower and bigger.
More buoyant.
Yep. They our weather really did some goofy stuff, but hopefully we can get out and do some more coon hunting here before she freezes up hard again.
Heck yeah.
It went from -8 to it's going to be 50 in 2 days.
Oh, it's going to be a mess.
It's just wonderful up here.
Watch the interstate.
You bet.
That was the worst weather I've ever driven through. Well, okay, 2 bad weathers. One of them, company party at W, like 2 years ago. That snowpocalypse in Portland, whatever. Dude, the freezing rain, crazy. I've never experienced freezing rain because we don't have that down here, really. It's either snow or it's rain. That is something I had never experienced and is crazy.
No
The
bueno.
other one was coming home from that Heartland Classic, and I was driving by you somewhere on that interstate. And then wind kicked up, and dude, that was the scaredest I've ever been when you're just four-wheel drifting across lanes. I had a litter of puppies in the back I was delivering. So cold. I had to put them in the front seat of the pickup, just like I didn't want them to freeze. It was miserable, dude.
Just wave when you guys drive by. It'll be nice.
Yeah, no kidding. No, I want to get out there when it's not like negative 50. Wind chill.
It's a different winter out here, that's for sure.
Well, we'll see how much people hate us after this. Maybe we'll do part 2.
You bet. I'm all for it, man. Thanks for having me on.
No, it was good catching up. It's fun.
Well, have a good one, Jason.
You too, man. Looking forward to I'm looking forward to part 2 on your article and maybe part 2 on the podcast.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too bad. But yeah, I wouldn't mind making a 2-part. So
Heck yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, man.
you have a good one and be safe out there.
All right.